name is BenFlyingRetro, and I'm embarking on a quest to purchase every classic GI Joe comic from the original 80s and 90s Marvel run. Warning. Hunting down individual issues from every corner of the globe in whatever order the universe decides to give me. Join me and my pal Steve every week as we discuss my latest find. Welcome to Chasing Joe. Chasing Joe. Hello and welcome to episode 6 of Chasing Joe. I am BenFlyingRetro. I'm joined by my best bud,
Steve SJub7.
Yes, there you are, my man, and we are back to talk about whatever the postman has put through my door this week. What could it be, S-Jubs? I'm holding something. What am I holding? A comic, hopefully.
A GI Joe comic book. Yeah.
I mean, one day I'm just going to open this and it's just going to be a He-Man book or something.
He-Man. Did they put out He-Man books in the standard comic book size?
Oh, I don't know.
I think, DC maybe did it for a time. I seem to remember some old issues kicking around in my brother's collection.
Yeah, for sure. Now, look, this is going to be a little bit different because guess what, S-Jubs? I didn't pay for this comic book. What does that mean? It means we've had a donation.
What?
Now, look, when I started doing this, I was like, I'm not going to buy runs. I don't want to do any of that. But I was like, whatever the universe decides to give me, fine. And the incredible Thomas Donaldson, Springsteen83 on Instagram, got in touch with me, was like, dude, I've got some dupes. Are you interested? And I was like, yeah, I'm interested. And look what he's posted. Isn't that incredible? I mean, that's so humbling. I didn't want to, turning down something like that just feels rude, no? Yeah,
absolutely.
That's what I mean.
And
he was like,
massive shout outs to Tom. Thank you, brother.
He was like, look, I want these to go to a good home. And I was like, I got a good home for him, buddy. And I tried to give him cash. I drove up to Scotland in my bare feet. And he just sent me back. He just sent me back to Bournemouth.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's get into this. I haven't got my Stanley knife. Oh
no
days. But look,
cavemanning it.
Give Thomas a follow. Springsteen83 on Insta. I do believe that he set some kind of GI Joe thing up. I don't know if he runs it anymore. He set some kind of comic thing up on Instagram. It's bad form.
I'm going to give him a follow right now.
I should know. But he would not accept cash. I went up there with a bag full of money to the Highlands. And he said no.
Springsteen83, Thomas Donaldson.
Oh, yeah.
Follow back. What a legend.
Yeah.
This show's dedicated to you, Tommy boy.
What do you think he has sent me?
Can confirm it is a G.I. Joe comic book. It's issue 53.
Oh, no, it's not. It's issue 52.
I blew it. One job. Issue 52.
Yeah, wow. This found itself on the hot city streets in the scorching summer of July 1986. Cover date October. And S-Jubs, you do not have to guess the price because this was a kind donation. So at episode 6, my running total is £54.45, 71 buckaroos.
With one heavy hitter in the bank, that being issue 1.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let's do the smell test.
What you getting?
I tell you what, this is so bizarre. It smells of chocolate. What's Thomas been up to? Just reading his Joe and just shoving chocolate down there.
A trip to Switzerland, perhaps. I was thinking you were going to get haggis.
Yeah.
And sheep.
It's I tell you what, now this is a dupe, but it is in beautiful condition.
Oh, lovely stuff.
Mike Zeck cover.
He inked himself for that cover, yeah?
Right. Well, to me, this is a classic to me. This is a classic cover.
It's Storm Shadow and Quick Kick facing off. That's the title fight
V1
of the issue. So if you are trying to picture this in your minds, podcast listeners, yeah, it's Quick Kick, Storm Shadow. They kind of Storm Shadow's throwing a punch. Quick Kick is countering with two
chucks. Yeah. Do you think maybe the lime green gradient is a little vacuous? I absolutely adore this cover, but maybe placing it in an actual panel with something in the background may have actually been more interesting, or do you think just the pop,
that would have busied it up? I think of an issue with Gung Ho and Zartan, the one of them like sort of grappling at a corridor, and that's a cover that has a lot of business on it, and that works because it's all this kind of geometric shapes. I think you've hit on something though, like the green fade might throw me a little bit. It's perhaps not the strongest color choice for me.
But you can't deny that it works so well with the yellow type.
Yes.
You know, that's what
combo, yellow and green. I don't know, Ben, to me this cover, it's certainly not a top 10. It doesn't stand out. Maybe it hasn't got the impact of something that might have heavier inks. And certainly like the focal point is going inwards to the cover. You know, Quick Kick is looking at Storm Shadow. Storm Shadow is looking at Quick Kick. No one's kind of looking out, sort of bursting out of the frame, as it were. You know, the bounds of the comic book cover. Like the best covers kind of have this vanishing point that's out there.
Yeah.
This one kind of, I don't know.
Do you think
it's an excellent cover, but like it's not one of my favorite?
Do you think Quick Kick's neck is? Well, it's a very healthy size. It's very long. I mean, it may be a smidge too long. I don't know. Once you've seen it, you can't really unsee it. But it is. I mean, look. I am someone that is actually trying to get that physique. It's tough. Maybe I need to introduce chucks into my. What would that look like at the gym? I mean, I'd probably get
introduce a head injury, my friend.
God. I mean, honestly, as like taking this to toys. Now, I'm a big Quick Kick guy. Yeah. But if I ever had these two scrapping together, V1 Storm Shadow, I mean, seriously, Storm Shadow is operating in a different sphere and would grout his bathroom with Quick Kick. Like, it wouldn't even be, honestly, in my
You've read this issue before, haven't you, Ben?
It wouldn't even be a contest for me. I think of is there a famous Sunbow fight between them on some moving ice? I may have made that up. There's something.
No, you're channeling.
I'm channeling something.
Pyramid of Darkness.
S-Jubs, am I always channeling Pyramid of Darkness?
Quite possibly, Benjamin.
Because I love it.
It left an impression, didn't it?
I was at Safeway, and it was just there. And I thought I had a Rise Spenta Arise. I had the movie. I was like, what is this? Because I always used to do the same thing when I'd see an Action Force VHS. I'd flip it and I would go straight to the runtime. And this one was feature length, 120 minutes. I was like, 2 hours. I didn't understand that it was 5 or 6 episodes. Didn't understand that. So if anything was feature length, oh my God, I grabbed it.
Tell me, for the VHS, did they edit out the breaks in the episodes?
Dude, it plays like a film.
Amazing.
Oh my goodness. Arise Serpenta Arise. I mean, that was my one that I just watched on repeat. But dude, it's seamless. There's no breaks.
Love that.
Absolutely brilliant. And Pyramid of Darkness I got a little bit later, and it was just such a find, because often you would usually get 2 episodes on one VHS, 2 20-minute episodes, and there was no rhyme or reason to what those episodes were. It was just so random.
Whichever ones they managed to overdub with the
Yeah.
full force.
But we've mentioned Pyramids of Darkness before, so yeah.
It was over very quickly, that fight, but resolved in a different way to this issue.
Yeah.
I think they both leap into the air, they make contact, they sort of drop onto either side, and then Storm Shadow just collapses in the snow, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, Quick Kick
wins the day.
He would have been very chilly. He's just wandering around.
Pose, yeah. Maybe that's what it was. His feet were so frozen; they were just these anvils.
One last thing.
Would you like a summary of this issue, by any chance?
I would. Just one last thing on the cover. I do like how he has drawn the nunchucks spinning. That's really cool. And especially
points to that.
You see the bottom very quickly, but actually the full revolution of the circle of the chuck is really cool.
Yep. Mike Zeck can draw the ever-loving shit out of anything, man. The dude is excellent.
The best thing for me about version 1 Storm Shadow is that just giant Cobra insignia right there on that breast.
Now, a modern day comic book would probably have vectored a actual graphic, but this is hand drawn.
Oh, for sure. It's not even fully colored in.
it looks janky, but I love it. That's how I'd like the Cobra symbol to be drawn. It's too perfect when it's a graphic that's just been kind of applied in Photoshop.
Yes, 100%.
This is, there's nothing jarring about this cover. As I say, it's not in my top 10, probably because of the focal points and that green color just overriding everything. But it's a hell of a good piece of art. For
next week's show, I'm going to find out. I want a cover count for Mike Zeck. How many he did? A lot. I feel like, probably. Would you say more than 20?
Oof, 20 is a big number. No, I don't think more than 20.
Do you not?
I think the ones that he's responsible for really do rise to the top.
That's it. I think they're just so iconic. And once you know a Mike Zeck cover, you're like, wow, okay. It feels like he did a lot. But let's get a final count on that. So do you want to summarize this up?
I'll give it a go. This time I actually jotted it down. Woohoo!
Oh, fantastic.
Strap in. Newly created Serpentor is flying to Cobra Island after the successful evacuation of Springfield. Cobra Commander regards Serpy as a serious threat to his leadership and attempts to have him assassinated twice, but both attempts fail. At the pit, a recently revived from near-death Storm Shadow sneaks in, and Snake Eyes offers him sanctuary. Hawk brings in some bad news, however. The GI Joes are being retired from active duty. A lot happens in this issue.
Dude, fantastic issue. Who have we got on pencils? Rod Wiggum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you
Mr.
know what
Cobra
that means.
Helicopter himself.
That is the core of my notes. My first note is Crimson Guard sniper teams. Yes, that's amazing. But look, let's get into this helicopter. Every time I see it, I just think of you. And this is your guy, yeah? This is your guy drawing it. This is how you like it.
I do feel like he was the chief architect of this helicopter. So he really owns it. He's got his name on the handle, as it were. He knows the ins and outs of it.
Can we talk about the decision, the lack of toy? It feels obvious
wrong
to me to have a toy of this.
Feels like the perfect test bed for the HasLab.
And then, dude, I've got that in my notes. I was like, HasLab opportunities. What's the deal?
I don't think they're likely to do another 3 3/4 inch HasLab. I think that ship has sailed.
Right,
with the Sky Striker.
Yeah,
it didn't do the same kind of business that the Classified is doing. So go where the money is. I can't blame Hasbro for picking a winner.
I really kind of enjoy this non-shouty version of Serpentor.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean? And even just like
not like a cartoon, in other words.
Yeah, like there's a few panels here of Serpentor where I've put propaganda panel. Like the shot, it's almost like a billboard. The shot of him and that blonde-haired kid is just, it's it was like posing for a camera or something, or come to Cobra Island, you know?
And he's got like serpent eyes. Check out his
Yeah.
pupils. The eyes are doing so much work in this book because every time Cobra Commander and Serpentor share a panel, Cobra Commander has the biggest scowl, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and like, don't touch me, I'll have you shot. These kind of lines of like absolute venom. Like, there's so much happening, so much acting.
Yeah, fertile ground for storytelling. The dynamic that they have with each other. It's actually makes for a really, really fun read because there's depth and there's layers between their relationship, and there's lots of things that they both want to happen, but the circumstances don't allow those things to happen. Quite interesting.
Shakespearean tragedy, man. All the archetypes are represented.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Sides and stuff, and this whole notion of I can't really do anything because he has the troops. You know, he has the spirit of the men.
I must admit, I was half expecting you to say this is too wordy a presentation.
No, not when it's so engaging.
Politicking. Good. Well, that was my takeaway as well. You get such good repetition of like everyone's motivations.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unpacked very carefully because this is very complicated, like assassination plots, like power struggles, like determining the new structure of Cobra, but unpacking it for essentially tweens.
Yes.
The people that were most voraciously consuming this comic book in the 80s were kids.
Yeah.
How are you going to tell a story of this complexity for them? Well, you get everyone kind of expositioning their motivations.
Yes. And Harmer is not rushing it, and he's letting it marinate and sort of stew. I think it's brilliant. I love the dynamic. I all of the Cobra stuff in this book, fantastic. I have got a bit in my notes here. When we flick over to the Joes, I've got Storm Shadow is right. It is amateur violence because they're just having a training session against these. They're kind of like tough talking dummies. And the thought of Storm Shadow, like in the rafters, like thinking that this was going to be difficult, and he's just like, "What is this nonsense I've walked into?"
You're lucky I didn't actually want to waste any of you guys when I was working for Cobra, because you would have been dead a long time ago. Yeah. Cobra was, I mean, Storm Shadow is too good for Cobra, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the only way this book didn't have a higher kill count was because his heart wasn't in it.
Yeah, I thought his dialogue was amazing in this book. Nice. So good. And the thought of, as you just said, the target audience, a tween. It's like Harmer is talking up, isn't he? You know, he's bringing tweens up there. He's elevating them to a higher level because it's deep. And the way that Snake Eyes just gives him gives him the keys to his cabin. I just love that. Just go chill out in the cabin. I got a cabin.
It's like a Yale key as well.
Yeah, yes. Just no, I'm like, dude, he hasn't even got a damn keychain, or you know, you're gonna lose that. But yeah. Also a fantastic sort of shot of Serpentor laboring, just really annoying Cobra Commander. He's like, look, I'm in the trenches. I'm one of the guys. I'm lifting a rock.
Totally. But, I mean, you can't blame him. He's not doing this just because of the generosity of his heart. He's absolutely making himself the poster boy.
Yes.
It is subversive. It's like he's doing this entirely to snub Cobra Commander.
Love the way
win
he's
the
drawn.
Hearts and minds. Genius.
Absolutely love the way he's drawn and colored in this book, actually.
Where did it all go wrong? Because at one point, Harmer was quoted as saying, I got no love for Serpy. Like, just stupid concept from the off. I wish they hadn't introduced the toy. But at this point in the run, I can't see that. I see him like really trying to make it work, and it's working. Yeah. The idea of this like historical figure amalgamation, this perfect leader, like really throwing a spanner in the works, because he's doing things that Cobra Commander would never deign to do.
Do you think he ran out of road with him and he possibly too one-dimensional? Not sure. I don't know. I guess
The problem is, as a victim of his own success, once Serpentor was in command of Cobra, well, why then didn't they have ultimate victory? It's like, once he achieves his goal of taking over the organization, the next step should surely be defeat GI Joe. But that's boring, I guess, and it would like also bring an abrupt end to the comic book. So you maybe at a bit of a stalemate. You're like, well, I can't use this guy anymore to his full potential. He's already achieved all I needed him to do. Now it's time for him to take an arrow to the eye. Oops, spoiler.
Now I'm going to spring a new segment on you here, S-Jubs. It's called
brother.
Guess Ben's Favorite Page. Now you are going to have to guess my favorite page. What page feels different and unique compared to the rest of the pages in this book?
You might have tipped your hand there.
Oh, go on then. Just say it.
Different and unique. Because I was leaning towards the page where the Dreadnoks jump through the window dressed up as Joes. That is an absolute delight.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
But since you're talking about pages that are different,
I like the elements.
When we get an insight into Storm Shadow's mind, having courted death.
Oh yeah,
we get all that sort of those pyres, the flames, the braziers, the skulls, the historical leaders milling around in the background. That's I suppose Rod Wiggum going really buck wild, man.
No, I'm gonna bring it down a little bit. My favorite page by far is Wild Bill picking up Hawk in his dragonfly in the pouring rain, because we're getting depth there. That is just so kind of almost like it's just so serious and exciting, and their brief dialogue. I just love that scene. It feels very cinematic to me. Very serious.
Did I say Rod Wiggum can draw a helicopter?
My days. I know. I mean, that is a dragonfly elevated.
In the rain. Crazy ass pilot to be taking off in that kind of weather. Go Wild Bill.
You can just picture Hawk coming out of that facility in the pouring rain and that chopper. Look at the rain pinging off the windshield. Oh, it's good.
This is a wet seat. They popped the canopy a little bit early, wouldn't you say?
Dude, this is a great issue. Really good issue.
Yeah. Intrigue on both sides.
Yes.
Excellent scripting.
The pacing of it, the back and forth, it just works perfectly.
Is it fair to say that it's a bait and switch, that the cover touts this as like a title fight between Quick Kick and Storm Shadow, and the actual results of that fight is like over in a couple of panels?
Yeah, back in the day, I feel like covers...
Did you feel cheated?
Well, they did seem to be intrinsically linked to the contents of the book, whereas now when I collect comics, you get a character on the cover that's not even in the book. They're more
but
just
my question is more along the lines of like, do you think that audiences back in the day were expecting like a battle to last the entire issue? And
I think so.
What I got was a couple of panels and it was like, I'm a killer, you're not a killer. You know, you're fast, you're strong, but you're no match for me. Whack.
Yeah, for sure. And towards the end of this book, there's such an like if you were reading this for the first time, I love this ad for special missions at on the last page. Imagine how
for the camera, sir.
It's difficult because I'm quite far away. I'm very far away.
Oh, it's text. Okay, I can bring that up for you.
Just because you imagine being into this run, you know, it's the hot summer of 1986, July, and you're like, oh my god, they're releasing another, ongoing book of Joe. Oh my days, it would have been amazing. Because Special Missions was coming out month to month, wasn't it?
Was it not every second month?
Oh, possibly. I don't know.
I wasn't around for those heady days, my friend, but I do
Yeah.
feel like it might have had a less strict release schedule.
Oh, this is just
Kind
why
of
I
a
just
bonus.
love the original floppies. Taking
Mm.
yourself back to 1986. Maybe. Well, actually, this book smells of chocolate, and there's an ad in here for
Scratch and sniff.
chocolat bonkers.
Ah,
There we go.
let me make you big. Hold it up one more time,
Oh
sir.
yeah.
Bonkers chocolate. Now, I was always curious about these candy bars that I was obviously like maybe a decade late to the party and also in the wrong part of the world. But
Look at
like, what
these
do you suppose
lads.
what are Bonkers? And that's a chewy bar, whatever. Those guys on the BMXs, what are they
It's a
advertising?
Jolly Rancher watermelon.
Have you tasted any of these candies?
No, dude. No.
They
Not
don't
a
exist anymore.
one. Not a
Maybe not.
one.
I feel like Jolly Ranchers might still be around. What do you think?
Actually, there's some. Is it who is it? Barbecue and Stalker. That
They get
Storm Shadow does the kind of flying splits kick.
yeah.
And
It's an
also to
interesting
be
image.
barbecue, geez, man. So he's just taken one to the chops from Storm Shadow, and then he has to take an absolute right hook from Scarlet.
These girls keep meting out the punishment. I mean,
Yeah, but that's
Scarlet,
a rough day. That's definitely a bad day, isn't it? Though.
well, I
mean-
guess you needed to get bumped down a few pegs. I mean, at one point, I think it's Airtight who's like criticizing Snake Eyes' like subtle slice or whatever.
Mm.
But anyways, the other Joes, the kind of more I don't know, everyday Joes, not the kind of the
Peripherals.
superhero Joes.
Yeah,
They are the peanut gallery, absolutely.
yeah.
And Scarlet needs to knock him down a few pegs. I don't know, man. Like, does this happen in a military unit? Like, do soldiers punch each other in the face?
I don't know. I don't know. Well, look at me. I mean, I'm not.
Well, look at Scarlet. She doesn't exactly look regulation.
Yeah. What do you think of Serpentor when he's fully in his what is that?
Raiments.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love the fact that Mindbender is not making it sound like it's his idea. Like, Mindbender's like, maybe you shouldn't be wearing this. This is a little bit too shoot me. It's too regal. It's too, it's going to give the wrong idea. It's going to make you an even bigger target. And Serpentor's like, no ways, bro. I'm going to wear this on my sleeve. And let me ride my chariot too. I like how Mindbender dances around calling it an air chariot. He's like, your armor is too regal, and this new gravity sled of yours is too much like an imperial chariot.
Yeah, gravity sled.
Call a spade a spade. It's the air chariot. Yeah. No, he's definitely advising caution, but I love the fact that Serpentor fires back by saying, you are still playing both sides of the fence. I can see right through you, Mindbender. Like, until the dust has settled and a clear winner has been announced, you're going to tell me to be more careful, and you're going to tell Cobra Commander to be more careful, and like, you haven't really pledged your allegiance to either of us.
Do you have 20 or so, 30 issues, sequential issues of the ARA run where you think that it's really in its stride and kind of like this is the best that it ever got? I feel like a lot of people say around here 50 through to sort of 80, I've heard that a lot, is the kind of like peak ARA, peak Joe for them. Would you agree with that? Would you say right now in sort of issue 52 it's really kind of in its stride, almost like the glory days? I'd like to do some research and find out when it actually peaked with sales as well. It was probably earlier on, I'd imagine, but
Sure. Yeah, I don't want to let sales dictate anything, but story-wise, while the Cobra Island Civil War is often cited as people's like favorite moment, by the time Fred 7 shows up, like, I'd say the purity of concept had been diluted. Like, this is all premium GI Joe storytelling.
Yeah.
Cobra, Storm Shadow hasn't come back as a good guy yet. He's still,
Yeah.
in this
Which is
troubled warrior phase.
Which
Far
is more interesting.
Absolutely. We haven't had the imposter take over Cobra Command. Like this is amazing. This moment, which I hadn't really read that much because I didn't have this book as a child, of like Serpentor and Cobra Commander meeting for the first time, is terrific.
Keep on rolling. He's like, keep the wheels going.
Yeah. They want us to land right in the middle of the heliport. Well, don't do that.
Yeah.
Like, land there, but keep rolling right to the review stand. And I'm going to jump out and give Cobra Commander a big old hug so he can't have these snipers pick me off. I mean,
he plays it so well.
It's amazing.
It really is. Yeah. Did you, so you didn't have this. Do you have it now? Do you have an Excel? Do you have an Excel, like a spreadsheet of needs and things? Or
I do.
I feel like you. Okay, I was about to say I feel like you don't.
No, fortunately, I might have mentioned on the show before, but Rob hosts it for me. Rob from GI Joburg, and he put together a list of my needs. And I mean, if you don't mind me just spinning my wheels, I do not have this issue currently.
Oh, okay.
But I have the trade paperbacks and I have a digital, so I'm covered. But
a donation, the first donation for this show, humbling, absolutely brilliant. I actually do sort of remember this cover, so it's quite striking, and definitely I think I may have borrowed this from Chief and read it when I was 9 or 10 or something like that. Possibly
expecting Quick Kick and Storm Shadow to have
like a
longer battle.
Yeah, I probably was just like, "What's going on? What's this?
What's all this dialogue?"
Yeah, totally. A few more things. Yeah, so basically, now we're on episode 6 of this show, and I've started looking at the action figures again. I've started looking at my collection again. There's been a lot more toys, like GI Joe figures, sort of scattered around the house. And this room that I'm in now is kind of it's not really a retro room. What is it? But there's lots of old stuff in here. It's a bit of a den. And there's something about having like GI Joe figs out and like near Sega Mega Drive and gaming consoles. Can play tricks on a man because it's kind of just as they used to be,
Yeah.
So I've got like
through a time portal, my friend.
I've got like a little area over here where I've got like an old CRT TV, and I've got like a Mega Drive and an N64, and there's like,
isn't it a TV VCR combo?
Yeah,
I've seen it in some Instagram reels. Yeah, man, that's a good pickup.
And there's just these figures and weapons sprinkled around, and it just it takes me back.
Well,
it's so cool.
Congratulations for exercising restraint, because to have a sprinkling and not make it a full-blown collection.
No, but what I mean is it's tough. Like it's different. What I'm saying is they're not in a cabinet. They're not displayed. They're just out in the wild like they used to be. It's really
BenFlyingRetro, a man without fear. Honestly,
no, but it's
Elliot
warm.
got into my GI Joe shelf today.
Oh god!
He got into my GI Joe shelf today, and I was biting my nails when he was playing with a vintage Worms figure. And if you know Worms, he's got this antenna, which is like mythical.
Yeah,
I found the antenna inside the cavity of the maggot, but man, that terrified me for hot minutes.
I like to see what will happen. I want to see what Scout, it's fascinating. Okay, you've picked up that Snake Eyes. What are you going to do next? And usually it will surprise you, S-Jubs, and it's not just like, it's more,
look,
it's
to
more
his credit, Elliot is very respectful of the toys. He's not crazy about them, not crazy with them, I should say. But you still, in the back of your mind, you're like, that's a vintage 1985 Storm Shadow sword. If he bends it once, it's got a stress mark, might even crack in half, and that's not an easy item to replace. But getting back to this book for a brief moment,
Mm.
I really got struck by a line of dialogue from Destro, which I think summarizes a very complex
I know what you're going to say.
character. I'm going to actually find it and bring it up and read it.
You're talking about when he's in... Is he in the chopper and he's talking about
He's
not
in the chopper.
betraying... He will not betray
Exactly.
Cobra Commander.
I pledged him my loyalty before I lost my respect for him.
Oh.
Other men may rationalize their mercurial loyalties. I cannot. I may not like him, but I won't betray him. It's like,
Wow.
my word is my bond, man.
Oscar?
it's a great way of just understanding how strongly this man, or how seriously he takes his loyalty. Once it's given, it can't be rescinded, even though he knows now a little bit more about the commander, that he's an absolute piece of shit and will betray anyone on a whim. But it's like,
But from a writing
pledge
perspective, it's good to get your stake and put it in the ground, because otherwise you got a bunch of all of these characters, and you can't just have them flip-flopping every issue. You've got to build up what their personality is, what what they have value in, and that's just
mercurial is such a great word.
Yeah, it's incredible.
To have that worked into a comic book. Like, did you ever pick up a thesaurus or a dictionary after reading a GI Joe book?
No, never. But I love a thesaurus now. But without those words and without panels like that, this book doesn't go for, well, more than 155 issues. But he's made these characters, he's given them real depth. And we come back.
The book has legs as a result. Like, to this day, it's a 40-year-old book, and we're talking about it.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. If you may, there are characters in there that are flippant for sure, but your big A players and Destro, he's got so much going on in there, and the nuances with his relationship with Cobra Commander. I mean, I thought you would like that panel or that speech bubble.
You know me well.
Yeah. maybe you'll know me better, and anytime you see rain or desert or snow, you'll be like, favorite page.
Well,
this guy likes the elements.
Let's get back to my cheap shot guess. The Dreadnoks climbing through Cobra Commander's window, dressed as
incredible
Torpedo, Rock and Roll, Shipwreck, and Snow Job.
Yeah.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Yeah, now, wait. Who is Flint?
Oh, that would be Zartan.
Yeah, so Zartan is actual Flint, and these chumps have to just make do. The Snow Job,
costume.
Dude, Snow Job is absolutely amazing. They're all amazing, but for some reason,
I think the colorist
tickles
misunderstood what was happening here, because he did actually put in some red color. You can see some red color applied to the very black Ripper beard.
Buzzer as Rock and Roll.
Yeah. That's a funny beard if I ever saw one.
Yeah. A bit of levity in this book as well. This issue actually has it all. It really does.
For 100 GI Joe points, redeemable as of September 1986, can you tell me who is Torpedo? Who's under the mask?
The commitment to wearing the fins is everything. I'll say
that's
that.
Just Torpedo's thing. This guy's just a very good actor. He's a well-studied.
Yeah,
he commits to the bit. But which Dreadnok do you suppose that
okay, well, who's left? Who have we got in there? We've got Buzzer and Ripper.
We've got the Unholy Trinity. Buzzer being Rock and Roll, Torch being Shipwreck, and Ripper is Snow Job.
Is this too early? Is this too early for Monkey Wrench?
It wouldn't be too early in terms of release, but only one other Dreadnok has been introduced, apart from the Zartan family.
One other?
We haven't covered this issue on Chasing Joe. This is something that I did on GI Joburg not too long ago.
Is this a big hitter Dreadnok? It's obviously not Road Pig.
Nah, it's not a big hitter. His vehicle is.
Oh, Thrasher.
I reckon it's Thrasher. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But
Let's flick back
I mean,
a few
there's
pages and see
absolutely
if we can see him.
yeah.
There he is, smoking a cigarette
Of
in
course.
Zartan's helicopter.
Of course.
You don't often see Joes or Cobras smoking cigarettes, even Dreadnoks.
No, there would have been. I would have thought there would have been something in there that they wouldn't allow that. No, it's a kid's book.
Yeah, still a kid's book. I mean, it's the comics code might have had something to do with depictions of substances, be it alcohol, drugs.
It's funny, isn't it? Because you can't do that in a comic, but you can have Ghostbusters come out in the same year, and they're just drinking buds and just smoking constantly throughout the whole film.
Yeah, but I think you might have been making a clerical error there, Ben. I don't think Ghostbusters was ever envisioned as a kids movie. It was just adopted by kids everywhere because it's ghosts and neutrino wands. And
I think Marlboro and Budweiser put up a fair few mil to get that film across the line.
No doubt, man. But hey, I mean, it got us hooked as a generation of children.
Yeah, it actually.
Yeah, that is a sneaky. I have not seen that before. Rod Wiggum's really playing fast and loose. I've never read the comics code. I'd be curious to give the actual legislation.
Well, isn't that why the Dreadnoks just have grape soda?
Oh yes.
I mean, surely you're meant to think that that's, I don't know, Park cider. I don't know. Yeah. Well, fantastic. I think we should wrap up this episode of Chasing Joe S. Jobs. Thoroughly enjoyed that issue and that donation. Thank you again, Thomas. And there may be, throughout these episodes, there may be a few more from Thomas. Who knows? Who
absolute
knows?
Legend.
Drip feeding.
So if you're listening to this,
he's a benefactor.
Chasing Joe Chasers. Give the man a follow. Springsteen83.
Yeah, Springsteen83. The boss. The boss.
Oh, yeah.
That's what they call him. Okay, man. Well,
we're out.
If you want to hear more from me, you can check out my podcast with my wife, where I talk about lots of retro things and she talks about serious things like raising kids. That is People Who Play over on Substack. Link down below. If you want to follow some behind the scenes of this show, head over to @BenFlyingRetro on Instagram. I'm trying to do
2 clip outs a week.
2 clip out. I'm doing good with that.
Very good.
Come on. Yep. Episode 6. You'd have thought the clip outs would have dried out by now. I actually have a great time doing them. I really enjoy that. So yeah, and
I have a great time observing the fruits of your labor. Your dab hand, my friend.
I just
do
like
this for a living by any chance?
Oh yeah, maybe a little bit. I'm sort of stepping away from that now, S-Jubs. I'm looking at other areas. So unless there's a job of just doing clip outs for GI Joe.
Dream job, sign me up.
Yeah, and the good people of the internet can find you here, I guess, mainly every week.
This is the sum total of what I do anymore.
You did a show on YouTube. You did a show about new O-rings, S-Jubs.
Correct. By the time this is dropped, our most recent podcast will be an episode on the armadillo.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Yeah.
Got any keen memories about GI Joe's mini tank?
Well, just before we sign off, I just wanted to get your take on those 4 O-ring figs. They have something, the plastic they're using, they have a unique look. What is it? The quality doesn't seem to be there. I don't know. The plastic doesn't seem great. They weren't my thing at all, S-Jubs. Not for me. At all.
But how can you evaluate the plastic without them being in hand, Ben? This is the great debate.
There's a I don't know.
It's a blind Coke test, honestly. What's
with Snake Eyes been mentioned wellies? He's got like blue boots on.
That is clearly a miscolor. Somebody dropped the ball somewhere along the line of the process there.
What? And they go all the way to market with that?
Stranger things have happened.
Okay.
Because it's not colored all the way down to the shoe portion of the boots on the card art.
There's
So
just a
that tells me-
softness to the color palettes used.
Right.
They're almost pastel-y.
They are touting that this is a comic book accurate rendition of Snake Eyes.
Okay.
I don't buy it.
More sunbowy.
More sunbowy. I think they had their eye on that. There will be a later recolor of the same mold, I mark my words, and it'll have Snake Eyes in a kind of a purplish gray,
Right.
with gray accessory pieces, so that the harness or the bandolier with the grenades, like this buck makes me think more Sunbow than Marvel comic.
I think they are.
I don't know if I'm likely to get these first figures because none of them are holes in my collection. I've got Cover Girl. I've got 6 amazing bats. I'm very fortunate to have Army built 6 bats.
Are they out in November?
The best Snake Eyes that there ever will be. V2, 1985. And what's the other one? Cobra Commander. He's decent. He really pops, but like, will he have place of pride over my 1983 swivel arm version? Doubt it.
I had a little look. I think are they out in November? They're about £25, I think.
Oof.
I think they're all on pre-order anyway in the UK.
Right. Yeah. If you wanted to pay the early tax, you could probably get them from Super 7 themselves.
Have they announced any other figs?
We know that the twins, Tomax and Zaymot, are a Big Bad Toy Store exclusive. They will be coming any time now. And they've teased other characters. Like, do you remember the Master Device miniseries? There was a giant barbarian dude called Ramar.
Yeah.
Well, that will be a pretty unique character to put into the line. And that is where the real sweet spot of this new O-Ring line exists. Characters that have never had a figure.
Yeah.
Or have had figures in very difficult to obtain ways. I'm thinking your Quins and Dr. Venoms. I'm thinking your Pythonas. I'm thinking, a whole string of characters that only had 1 or 2 appearances in the comic book or cartoon. Those are the ones we want. Fill some holes.
Yeah. Is that going to... Well, they're going to have to blend that with having big hitters as well, surely.
Yeah.
They've got to shift these things.
Of course. But those will be the ones that I pick up. So I'm the niche market that will only swoop in and cherry pick, whereas the mass market can get 20 more versions of Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow, and Cobra Commander. Thank you very much.
S-Jubs, I just like buying the old ones, my man. That's me.
My man.
That's
ain't no school like old school. Whether it's paper or plastic, that's what we do here on Chasing Joe.
That's a good place to end it. Okay, everyone, we will see you next week for episode 7 of Chasing Joe. Until then, yo, Joe.
See ya!